Yes, so Hairless here. Today we have another Patreon request. Thank you to Lupe for this one. This is Forestella, Save Our Lives. I've been informed that this song contains 3 chapters within it, but the song itself is part of a 3-part series with each part containing 3 chapters. So this is like the first 3 chapters of 9 overall. It's a Forestella original. I've only heard Forestella twice before. The first time was Scarborough Fair, the second time was Je suis malade. So it will be cool to see an original song of theirs. I looked up the lyrics beforehand and they're very foreboding, very sad. I'll put them on the screen here, and as you can see there's a section in Latin. My Latin's a little rusty, I understood about half of it, but to me, mournful lyrics sung in Latin are powerful. Now it obviously depends on the music the lyrics are set to, but a lot of the most powerful music, in my opinion, comes from the Renaissance and the Baroque periods. A lot of Latin text set to psalms, for example, delicate, emotive subject matter, asking for forgiveness, begging for mercy, that kind of thing. And we get that here too. Miserere nobis, have mercy on us. Even the lyrics towards the end in English, lead us eternally through the light. It reminds me of Latin, lux aeterna, eternal light. So that's where I am in terms of context for this performance. I'm interested to see what this contemporary classical crossover quartet will do here, what music they'll set these lyrics to.
I'm here and the world is in shadows. No matter how much we hope, evergreens till life fades away. Only cries of sorrow remain. Night falls and the dark grows around us. No matter how hard we try, winter's come and spring's far away. Rain for us, wrapped in colors of gray. Save our lives, see our light appear. Make us be full of love. Lead us to the precious
Okay, so it tells us what the 3 different acts are actually here. So we've got Envoys Act 2. I think let's pause here and go over that first act. I mean, there's a lot going on, isn't there? And this is an official music video which explains the kind of high level of videography that we're seeing. I mean, this opening is very much not what I was expecting. As I said in the intro, based on the lyrics, I was more leaning towards this old choral church kind of music vibes. We open with this imagery of a black hole, meteors, space, planets. This imagery that we're seeing is made possible due to our technological advancements and our scientific advancements in terms of understanding. So in my head at this point, right, the first thing that I see, I have this dichotomy going on. An expectation of kind of church music scenery versus imagery of an indefinitely old universe. The music, it's modern for sure. Those pulsating string chords with the bass repeating the root here, which is the note of D. We have a nice harmonic progression going on. The root is played in every chord, and that's what gives these chords a modern feel. That D constantly being played when the chords are changing creates dissonances. The images are changing, the chords are changing. The bass note, that root, that foundation, the center, if you will, is the thing that is remaining constant. So then we get the opening lyrics sang by Kang Hyung Ho, the countertenor.
I'm here, and the world is in shadows.
His countertenor voice is that super light, almost male soprano type voice. So it's cool to see him opening here with his chest voice. And the video itself, it matches the lyrics, World in Shadows. The beginning, Act 1, fire, I came through the collision of asteroids. And then we get this melodic line, and part of it I just find so catchy. Just one word, evergreens.
Evergreens.
Sometimes we don't need to dig into the why, you know, this just is catchy to me. But if we must know, to me anyway, I think it's because of the interval up from E to V. It's a minor sixth upwards. I just find that interval catchy, minor or major versions. So we go from here to there. And it's exaggerated as well by the fact that he cuts off the word halfway through. And then silence. And then he comes in on that accented minor sixth at the top. I mean, overall, it's very cinematic, visually, but musically too. The choice of orchestral instrumentation. It's very like a film soundtrack. And then we get the next Forestella member entering, Bae-do Hoon, singing in octaves with the countertenor. And the countertenor has now moved up the octave to sing in that countertenor range. So despite the very delicate or elegant subject matter of the song overall, the lyrics, and the music in general, we have the violins and the clarinet playing here at the same line. Despite this, there's still a somewhat primal feel to it. And I think it's because of the use of the percussion here. It sounds kind of like a timpani to me because it's tuned. And a primal feeling overall, it naturally makes me think of the past. And I'm thinking of the creation story, which will be different for each of us depending on our beliefs. And then, here they are, all four of them. What an entry on Save Our Lives.
Save our lives.
Not gonna lie, I feel like the vocals could be maybe a little bit louder. I can't hear them and their harmonies as clearly as I'd like to. The instrumentation, I know there's a lot of it, but it's quite loud. And then they all come off for Cho Min-yool's top A there, that lovely tenor voice of his. And also in terms of the vocal arrangement of the 4-part sections, I really like how each line individually is different from the other lines. For example, we get the countertenor line. You know, soaring right up there. It's a prominent, smooth, moving line, but then we get the tenor. And that's a really nice line. Not so smooth moving though, it jumps. Whereas the bass choral room has the most static part here and he finishes on just the same note. And then we get this climax moment on et spera, meaning and hope, Latin words. The voicing here is great. They could have just put every part at the top of their range belting out for a super climactic feeling, but they don't do that. Instead, they've gone for the option of depth in arrangement. And we can see that by doing so, the impact hasn't been reduced at all. The bass and the baritone parts aren't really at the top of their ranges. They're in the upper range, but it's comfortable for them to sing. It's the tenor and countertenor parts that are really up there. The chords are these if you want to see which note each part is singing. Alright, let's carry on from the transition into the second act. We had this montage of the 4 elements, water, earth, fire and air, and they all had their accompanying sound effects as well. Well, that was a quick one. Act 3 here. It probably makes sense to pause here, just go over Act 2 and then carry on with this. Big change for Act 3 as well. Huh? I'm finding this so interesting. I really like it. It's just so different, isn't it? Alright, so Act 2, Envoys. We are the envoys who protect the creator. Not gonna lie, I don't know what an envoy is. I thought an envoy was something that comes at the end of certain types of poems. But okay, it seems like that theme of creation I was getting at is what they're portraying. Suddenly, now, with this act, there's been a complete shift. Visually, everything is red. Flames, hell-like. And musically as well, if you look at the bottom, you see the Latin text there. Redumenos miserere nobis. Redeem us, have mercy on us. I've always found the concept musically of begging for mercy just very powerful, very emotive. Many powerful, famous pieces of music are exactly this subject matter. The most famous being Allegri's Miserere mei Deus, have mercy on me, God. Which also contains this extremely famous part. But their words are barely audible, and without the subtitles I probably would not have been able to hear them. The music here is now more agitated. They're singing just one note, repeated, disjointed, quick, percussive. And the music too is actually quite jarring. Now hear me out. Now, don't take that literally because I really like it. And it's weirdly soothing, especially these vocalizations we hear and the flowing strings going on. But there are so many notes being heard here at this point, just all very, very quietly. It would take me a long while of listening to this over and over and over to try and pick out every single note that we hear. It's not harmonically clean, it's noisy musically. I think this adds to the message of agitation and desperation that we get in their begging. Redeem us, have mercy on us. So amongst all this imagery, this hell-like imagery, the lyrics themselves, very, very foreboding. Talking about a never-ending road, never-ending, eternal. Hell is eternal. And if we listen very carefully here, I think that there's a layering of those Latin words, redeem us, have mercy on us. No matter how far we go. I can just about make out that one-note repeated pattern, da-da-da-da-da, as well as the sibilants at the end of the words, the S's. It's interesting, and I have no idea if this is intentional or not, but sibilance is often associated with snakes, and it was the snake, the serpent in the Garden of Eden, who tempted Eve. Alright, so then we get to this bit. I hadn't really thought of them as angels until this point, but we get this juxtaposition of hell and now what looks like heaven. And the words that they're singing, see our light up here. Also, as someone without any hair, I'm jealous of how often they're changing their hair colours in this one song. And then to round up the second act, we've got Chon Ming-yu, the tenor with a classic 4/3 suspension. His notes are... Alright, let's carry on for the final act. Wow. Wow, there's a lot going on in that, isn't there? That was quite remarkable, actually. I just find that so interesting. I mean, and what a change in Act 3. This is our great beginning. The music is so ethereal, it immediately reminded of something actually from about 13-14 years ago now, which was a performance at the BBC Proms. Now maybe it's because of the space theme going on here in this video, but it was a Doctor Who theme when the Doctor transforms. I'll include a clip of that moment from that performance now. But it's also this transition that we've just suddenly seen with the strings playing, with the countertenor voice singing. There's definitely a similar feel here. It's funny, I'd completely forgotten about that other bit of music until now. It's weird how your brain can just store something, you forget about it, and then something, a trigger, just completely unlocks it. I guess that's the power of music. Alright, now it's otherworldly. Save our lives, they're saying. We saw a meteor come crashing in just before Act 3. And the cinematography here, it gives this impression of this kind of ash-ridden post-cataclysmic event world. You know, the damage has been done and it's irreparable. But then what a way to break out of this ethereal music section.
Save our lives on earth.
Boom. Straight into 4-part harmony, key change. It's this massive moment. We have homophony and polyphony, two opposites going on at the same time. The focus is on the homophony, where they're singing the same words at the same time in the same rhythms, but there are moments when one or two of them will just break away for a little bit before returning. And there's also just so much going on musically in terms of texture. There are so many layers, so many different parts, including some of these really whispery type voices, which are greatly adding to this polyphonic effect. You know, so many different moving parts. It's a complete stylistic change, and by the video I'd say it's a moment of regeneration, of healing. And there were some moments where the harmonies just really stick out. How well their voices blend together. Listen to them sing on the word the. I've realised one thing that I think really helps them with this blend is their vibrato style. If you've seen my previous videos, you'll know that I sometimes comment on someone's vibrato speed, whether it's quick or slow. All of their speeds are similar. And then finally, going back to that idea of musical noise I was talking about, when it seems there isn't much noise because musically it does seem to make sense. We get this moment, which again is massive in terms of texture. The chord here is E flat major, but they've also put an A flat in as well. This is a 4/3 suspension that I was talking about earlier, but it doesn't resolve. So it's creating tension without a release from the tension. A final build up at the end, this climax. Now the end, I don't know if this is part of the song or not. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. And then we see the apple. So connotations of the Garden of Eden after all. Alright, well, there we go. Thank you again, Lupe, for that request. Very interesting, very grandiose. Great video, great storytelling. I'm sure many people will have different interpretations of the music, which I think is always a good thing. Yeah, Forestella, they just seem to be quite a good group. I'm sure I have many more Forestella reactions to come in the future. Alright, let's leave it there. As always, thank you very much for watching. Would appreciate a like, subscribe. If you enjoy my content and would like to support me and join the community, you can do so by joining the Patreon or YouTube memberships linked in the description below. And I will see you next time.